I think I might have felt my most hated character of Winter of Anime 2018. Now, for some quick clarification, when I say most hated, I don't mean a poorly written. I'm just saying a character that I despise, I think they're scummy, and they're just a heinous individual that I'm just sitting here asking, why? How can you be this awful to another person? And the sad thing is what we saw from the character in this episode of After the Rain, from Kaze, or however you pronounce his name. Honestly, he's a very horrible person. I don't even want to remember his name. What we saw from him in this episode is something that does happen in real life, and it's a sharp reminder that stuff like what we see in series like this in romance, it may be exaggerated sometimes, but overall people are that scummy where they will blackmail an individual just to get what they want, and it's just like, why would you do that? But anyways, there is a very big contrast in the first segment of the episode and the second segment. The first segment, it starts off normal and all that, what we've been seeing from After the Rain. Tachibana, she's going to her work and all that. She's, you know, spying on Kondo, peeking at him, and then it's also continuing off from the conversation from last episode of wanting to have a date, and it just seems like there's some solid progression going on. It seems like everything is good. It's a, you know, a solid episode start. Then you see, like, slow signs and build up to Kaze's character and who he really is and how scummy he really is and how he's a womanizer and all of that. He's just a very scummy individual. And eventually he blackmails Tachibana into going on a date with him, even though Tachibana already set up a date with Kondo to go out later on around Saturday or something. So it automatically ruined what she wanted to do. He was ruining and, you know, trampling upon what was already making her happy. And honestly, with what type of, you know, situation she's in and what she's already been through in her life, something like that of just, you know, wanting to spend time with, you know, Kondo, it isn't too much to ask. Regardless of how their age is or not, it's not too much to ask. And so her finally being happy and all that, the man comes in and basically just ruins it. He takes her on a date and all that. She has to skip school, and he takes her to places that just destroy the entire atmosphere. And the crappy part about all of this is that once he takes her on a date, he steals like a kiss from her and all of this, eventually she has to do the date with Kondo, which we get to see a change in the atmosphere. It's a completely different contrast compared to the first half, and you see how she's going on a date, going into the same places that she went with Kaze, but she acts very different. You can see that she's paying attention to Kondo and she's, you know, wanting his attention, and just the little small interactions between her and him, you can see she's really enjoying it, and it's completely different from how she was acting in the first half. And like I said though, all of these emotions that she had in the second half of the episode were kind of dampened though, thanks to what the man did to her. You know, like I said, stealing a kiss and all that, to the point of, you know, taking her to a movie that was very boring, and, you know, eventually Kondo decided to take her to the exact same movie, which ruined the overall impact. Even if it was a boring movie, it ruined the impact of it. And then also going to a place to, you know, go out to eat or get a drink and all that, it was the exact same location, so it ruined the surprise, or, you know, ruined the menu of looking at it and being very shocked. It just ruined a lot of things about it. So I felt very bad for Tachibana in this episode, because, I mean, she honestly wanted to have a good time, and she did have a good time. At the end of the day, she technically did have a good time with Kondo, but just like a lot of it was ruined thanks to someone being completely scummy and just a heinous individual. Now, obviously, all he cares about himself and doesn't really care or disregards anyone else just so he can have his own satisfaction. Now, I do want to point something out, though. The character that we got to get, you know, characterization for in this episode that I don't like, if anyone didn't notice, his design-wise, the design decision of him is a very stereotypical, like, Bishonen character. Like, I think that's the proper term. You know, like the standard main male character you would see, like, in a shoujo or shonen romance series, that's like a pretty boy. You know, that's a standard character design, okay? What we saw from the dude in this episode and when he's been introduced, he has a design of a standard pretty boy. Like, a pretty boy that's a love interest, a pretty boy that, you know, will intervene into the main romance, or even be the main design to the main male character for the actual love interest, the pairing and all that. He's a standard design, and I think that it's very ironic that in this case, the writer of the series and the artist decided to put a, like, Bishonen type, you know, guy-looking character that would normally be the main central love interest, but this time he is the villain, and she's actually going after a guy that's not really natural at all, since he's a 45-year-old man. I find this very cool. It's a little bit of a spin on the normal thing, and it's kind of showcasing that, you know, not all love needs to be a beautiful person, and also on top up that not all love, you know, especially if someone's trying to be scummy and all that, they should be an ugly individual, because that's one big thing I don't like about literature, or, you know, anime and manga, or any form of literature. This doesn't just tie to Japanese literature and stuff. It happens for all forms of literature. Usually, when you have a character trying to be scummy or evil or whatever to another person, or, you know, intervene in love or whatever, usually the writers or whatever, or designers of their character design, they like to make them look as heinous as possible. They might like to make them look like they're evil, like to make them look like slobs, just pigs, whatever, and we didn't actually get to see that. Even though he was a horrible person, on the outside, he looks like a good dude. He looks like a good guy that you would respect, you would want to be around, but in reality, he's just a very dark and evil person deep within, and once again, it shows that the outer appearance doesn't always really showcase what is really inside, and that's what happened there. Basically showing that not all pretty boys are actually good people, especially when it comes to anime and manga. I appreciate that. I really do. Now, moving past all of that, though, let's talk about the little things here and there throughout the episode that just got me smiling. I was like, that's a really nice addition. The Tachibana scene to when she got very happy when she got to, you know, call Kondo and all that, when they set up a date. That situation right there, that made me just smile when she started, like, tapping the ground and stuff. You saw how she was jumping and tapping the ground and being a little bit giddy with her facial expression. I'm like, that's just so adorable. I love her. She's so cute. And I'm like, I know many are going to look at the series, and as I've been saying, they're going to look at the series and say it's a very creepy show because of the relationship and all of that, but just seeing how giddy she is, I feel like there's a very big message here. The big message here with this series, regardless of how people normally will feel about it, I think the message is that love will always find a way, and depending on, you know, how you tackle certain set issues, it's like you need to overcome trials and tribulations to be able to get what you want, especially when it comes to love. And Tachibana, she's having to deal with these social issues to be able to get what she wants, because even though I don't like Kaze at all as a person, like he's a horrible person, he was kind of spitting a little bit of facts. Even though he's just an evil dude for the sake of being evil and mixing up the plot and adding some tension, he is spitting some facts that the relationship between Tachibana and Kondo is creepy. It's not something natural, and it's not something that, you know, should normally happen. But at the end of the day, love happens. You can't control that, and even though he is an evil guy, he is spitting truths. And so, Tachibana has to overcome this social issue of that. And you could see, even through her interaction and all that with the dude in this episode, that she realizes how weird it is to be with someone like Kondo. Because, I mean, he's an old guy, and it's, you know, weird for something like that. She even knows how weird it is. I mean, you could tell how she acted, and she wants to keep it a secret. She doesn't want anyone to know that she actually likes Kondo at all. And so that just shows that she is very aware of how people view that. And then Kondo as well, he's very self-conscious about it too. I mean, overall, he's an old guy, and he kind of is used to stuff like this. I mean, he's kind of shy, and he does get embarrassed from what we have seen, but overall, he's kind of used to that most likely. But at the same time, he's trying to be more aware of, like, how weird it is for Tachibana, and watch out for her, because in the episode, when he's in the cafe with her, he looks around and he notices a bunch of young couples, and he's like, yo, there's a bunch of young couples, and then, you know he's looking at himself. He's an old guy and all that. Obviously, he doesn't fit in. I mean, this cafe is for young couples, but, you know, Tachibana took him to a cafe is obviously not for someone like him, and it just looks very weird, and he just really feels out of place. I do like that aspect of showing that he is an old man. He is definitely not a young, pretty boy like we normally see, and he is very aware of this. Tachibana is becoming aware of this, and it just shows how different of love is being formed. And I feel like the main theme going on in this series, like I said, is overcoming social boundaries and issues and all of that, and how people view things, and how sometimes if you love someone, you can't let others choose for you, or let others dictate what you like or love, and that's basically what's happening here. I think that's the main message of After the Rain. But yeah, episode overall, I think it's a really great episode. I think many can agree with me that this was fantastic, and regardless of how much I dislike Kaze as a character, I do think that, you know, he does have a role to play, and maybe he might go through some form of redemption arc. I have no idea, but we'll see. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.